Hello! Hello! Hi! Hi! Hi, come over here! Come on in! So that's where you've been. You want to escape this. Now, I want you to listen to this. Whoa.
It's time for an apology. Buddy Shotz 133. I made us watch P. It was horrible.
You owe me an apology.
I do. I'm sorry.
Not
you
really.
didn't pick these first.
Me too.
I'm like, let's get even closer. Yee, buddies.
I'm sorry I couldn't love a movie anymore.
That's true. Buddies on a couch. Damn, that should have been our fucking podcast.
All right,
Buddies on
start
a
over.
couch.
Episode 1.
Buddies on a couch. Yeah, this is Day of the Dead
Put
remake.
your
week.
buddies on the couch.
Watch them watch a movie. It's like, that sounds horrible. Anyway, so before I have to say thank you if you're watching this, and please, I apologize. But you know what I don't apologize for? Loving all of our fans. Make sure you subscribe and become a buddy if you want to see more torturous adventures like these.
This was a rough one.
I was actually kind of shocked, though, because I put out a poll, and on Twitter, 67% of people had seen one or the other. I'm pretty sure it was the 2008.
What's wrong with these people?
Hey, I did do this. I did do this for the podcast. I had to. I had no choice. If I had to put money on it, I'd have to say that not a lot of people, but most people have seen that voted on this. We're talking about the 2008 one because it actually had people in it that I'd heard of, like Ving Rhames and Mina Survey and stuff like that.
And that was when like DVDs were still big and you'd see it at the store and stuff.
DVD entrapment. So, I personally want to talk about the fucking Bloodlust first, or Bloodline, and get that shit out of the way.
Okay.
What do you think? You think that's a
Yeah.
good? Okay.
I mean, I have similar thoughts about both of them, honestly.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know, I'm not gonna defend either one of these, honestly. At the end of the day, I think I liked the 2008 one a little more, but only because it wasn't as offensive, but it has its own things that we'll definitely talk about.
Yeah, I mean, to start with something positive, like, these were better than I thought they were going to be. They weren't good, but I was expecting even worse than they turned
They were
out.
way worse than I thought they were going to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was actually kind of a little pumped up for Bloodlines, because I was like, oh, wow, they have a thing about, like, Bub is, like, the central focus, but then, like, I saw some quotes after I'd already picked it, like, from, like, the guy that played Bub, whose name is Max in the thing, and it's like Bub on steroids, and I was like, oh, shit.
You're like, oh.
I was like, Bub on steroids, and this came out in 2017. I could understand if that was a quote from, like, the 2008 one, but this is 2017. It's like, it's funny because the 2017 one almost feels closer to, like, the 2008 one in 2000s than the 2008 one does. It's like, what the fuck?
But at least this was a little bit closer to the story of Day of the Dead than the other one.
Yeah.
The other one had almost nothing to do with...
Yeah.
It was not even a remake.
Yeah.
This one, I think you could at least qualify it as a remake, kind of.
Yeah, it took some stuff, and then it kind of just completely threw away a bunch of other stuff. But we'll definitely, I guess we'll talk about that. It's weird because one thing that both these films had in common that the original didn't is that they both, for some reason, made Bub like a Frankenstein's, or not a Frankenstein's monster, but like a Hunchback of Notre Dame, like obsessed with like a random woman kind of thing.
That was weird.
In this one, it's like taken to the extreme. This movie's more about like possible sexual like predation than it is about actual like a zombie outbreak. It's fucked up.
Yeah, and I was looking at the release dates, and this movie actually was... I forget which country it was, but it was released in one country in 2020.
Yeah, geez.
And that was the worst thing that happened in that country that year.
Yeah, seriously. Where did this even come out? Because I feel like none of the people that were in this, I know who the hell they are.
No.
It seems like a movie I'd
never even heard of this.
It was like a movie that came out... It seems like it came out in like Russia or something, because a lot of the stuff almost seemed like it was dubbed, but it wasn't, if that makes sense. It was weird.
It was horrible accents, which
Yeah.
that's the first thing that I'd noticed. Accents are my pet peeve.
Yeah.
Because like all these people are doing American accents, but a lot of them are from England and Australia.
Yeah.
And you can totally tell. And the lead was the worst. At one point, she's like, I don't understand anything that's happening here. I'm like, dude, just use your own accent. Would you have cared if she had a British accent in this movie? No. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
That doesn't piss me off like it does.
It just bothers me. It's like, it drives me crazy.
For some reason, you really get upset about that.
It just takes me out of the movie so much every time, and I just wonder why.
Yeah, because the rest of the film was so great.
Yeah, that was the only problem with it.
But no, I agree. I mean, I don't know. I think that's the least of this fucking film's problems.
It's just, I don't know.
Essentially, they made Bub like a fucking rapist in this fucking movie, and it's
turned into Solid Snake.
Dude, this movie, actually, the more I think about it, the more I'm getting kind of pissed, because I'm thinking about, like...
Wait, so we're talking about Bloodlines,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, yeah, it's just, like, he's essentially, like...
He acts totally different from every other zombie.
Yeah.
For no reason. Like, at least Bub, he's different because he's been trained for a period of time.
Well, it's also, he's a, like, sympathetic character. It's like, when George Romero made these films, he made the zombies the, like, ultimate, like, bad guy. Like, everybody was like, fuck, you know, they're the ones you're rooting against. But then, like, he flips it on its head, and it's just like, he's the most, like, human character for the most part.
The true monster is man.
Whereas this fucking thing, it's like...
He's like a super zombie.
He's the ultimate bad guy, because not only is he a zombie, he's like a fucking rapist, almost. Yeah. It's like, okay, so how are you supposed to have any sort of, like, sympathy for a character that, like, in the beginning of the film, before he was a zombie, tried to, like, you know, get with this chick against her will, and then he becomes, like, Bub, and then, like, he essentially, his whole goal is to, like, you know, zombie raper. It's like, dude, who thought this was a good idea?
It was insane.
But yeah, this came out in 2017. It's based on characters created by George Romero, but, like, to the very, like, limit that you could even say that, because they don't even have... Not that the names matter, but they don't really even call the characters by any of the names, which I guess is probably the best thing they did, was, like, to not associate... Like, they don't call Bub, they call him Max, they call, like, Sarah Zoe, and they don't really have... They have a Rhodes character, but, like, his name is Miguel, which is... His brother in this is called, like, Baca, and he's Sarah's boyfriend in this, and not Miguel, which is...
You can barely call these characters at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's... There's
also,
nothing to it.
Somehow they made the character that's supposed to be Rhodes the actual hero of this film. Like, in the original, he's, like, a complete power-hungry piece of shit, and in this, it's like, he's actually kind of down to earth, and you understand where he's coming from, because he has all these people to look after, and the person that's fucking everything up is the main character, like Sarah. Or Zoe, I guess.
I didn't mind that character, Max. I thought he was okay.
Who, Bub?
Oh, sorry, not Max.
I was like...
Miguel.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no, I think he was
fine.
the character that actually makes the most sense, but he's, like, nothing like any of the characters. Like, none of these are like any of the characters, like you said.
Yeah. I will give this movie credit. It had a lot of practical effects that were really good, and that's... You know, I believe Day of the Dead, the original, has the best effects of any horror movie of all time.
Yeah.
So nothing's going to match that, but this was okay.
Yeah.
At least they didn't go all CGI.
Yeah, 2008 had a lot of that stuff where it was like CGI, which we'll talk about, but like in this it was like a lot of, like you said, like there were some like weird shots where I was like, this is some weird, like, footage where it's, like, stock footage, like, of the mountain and all that, which I was like, this either isn't real, or it's, like, just some random stock footage they got. Yep. Yeah. So, this movie, like freaking the 2008 one, both starts before the zombie outbreak, whereas, like, Day of the Dead was, like, in the final days, essentially, of it.
That's what made it interesting. And they threw that down the garbage.
Yeah.
That's why Day of the Dead is cool, because it's like, you know...
It's the natural progression of seeing where things are at that point, which is really cool.
It's like the end point of humanity, almost. Like, it's getting down to, like, the very end. It's over, dudes.
Whereas, in this, it's like, both these films start with, like, some freaking teenager crap going on. What is with the parties in both these films? It's like, there's, like, teenagers making out, or, like, parties in college, and it's like...
When that happened, I was like, uh-oh.
This movie was, like, put out in 2017, but like I said, it felt like it was filmed in 2008 or something, because, like, this was a huge thing for horror movies. It's like, and I don't know if it still is, but yeah, good God. Yeah, I was like, good Lord, why?
That's why, like, you know, the Living Dead series, the original one, is, like, elevated from your typical slasher, which these just turned into slashers. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Bub turns into, like, Jason or Freddy Krueger. And it's like, okay.
He went from, like, being, like a total, like, sneaky character to, like, at one point he was just killing people. And I was like, what is going on here?
When he, like, hid from people and, like, turned into stealth mode, I was cracking up. I was like, I've never seen a zombie do that before.
Stupid.
Yeah, it was very silly. It was not scary.
Yeah. Of course, it wouldn't be, a movie from, wherever this movie was filmed if there wasn't really ridiculous ADR. Mm-hmm. Considering these factors, can you determine this man's cause of death? I was like, what? The corpse of the dude that they had that, like, ends up being, like, the first zombie or whatever that was on the slab was like...
the monster on his slab.
He's, like, laying on the friggin', like, smiling.
This movie has another thing that I hate, which are fake jump scares.
Oh, God.
It was, like, the best one was when, like, the kids are playing soccer or whatever, and he chases...
What are you doing over here? Yeah, he's like, why?
All of a sudden, a dude's standing right next to him, and he's like,
ah! Yeah, he's like, what are you doing out here? Didn't you hear the siren? And I'm like, it's like, Bub didn't kill the kid, but he killed, like, the adult, which I guess is, like, one of the only good things you can say about, like, Max is he doesn't kill any children in this film. But whoop-de-doo.
Speaking of Max,
he's like Crispin Glover.
I wanted to read this because, like, I was just looking this dude up on IMDb.
Jesus, that fucking...
I noticed his biography. I just want to read a few lines from it because it's hilarious. His name is Johnathon Schaech. Johnathon Schaech exploded onto the scene as one of Hollywood's most handsome leading men.
Did he write this himself?
In How to Make an American Quilt, 1995. Remember that when he exploded onto the scene in How to Make an American Quilt?
That's probably a Hallmark movie.
Since then, Johnathon has shown incredible versatility as an actor. Over the last 20 years, he's starred in over 160 Hollywood productions, working opposite some of the most acclaimed and awarded actors, producers, writers, and directors, including Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he was the other main in that film. Gwyneth Paltrow.
But I will say at the end it says, Johnathon now uses his national voice for dyslexia, working with Harvard University accredited noticeability.org, a nonprofit dedicated to helping students with the brain-based difference identity. So, good for you, Johnathon.
Don't watch his films, but don't watch this film. Spend your time donating to his charity or whatever. I guess something good came out of this.
Yeah. I had to read that.
Thanks.
So stupid.
I mean, it's not his fault. He's playing a fucking character that's, like, the most deplorable character I've seen on screen in a while. Since I saw, like, footage of Hitler, it's like,
good Lord,
horrible. His character is deplorable. There's no saving factor in him. But, like, he's creepy from the get-go. He's getting his blood taken. He's like, ooh, like a vampire, sucking me dry. And I'm like, This is not good.
Nope.
There's also a laughable Zoe CGI carved into his arm at one point. Because later on, it's like, when he's a zombie, it's like, I think maybe more of a practical effect. You can see that they like put it on or whatever, but like when he first shows it and it's fresh, it's like he moves his arm and it's like wonky. Like,
Bad tracking.
Okay. Get out of here, creepy old fuck. You can't let people do that to you, Zoe. Be stronger next time. I'm like...
That actually made me laugh out loud.
I was like, what? Be stronger? She was like actively telling him to get the fuck out. What do you want her to do? Kill him? And then he commits his first sexual assault. Or tries to anyway. And then he gets like bit by a zombie. Whoa.
You keep saying zombie. Don't you mean rotter?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
You're telling me there's a rotter in this movie?
That's another reason why this movie sucks. They try to do their own bullshit where they call them rotters, and it's like, dude, the only time that's ever really worked was like The Walking Dead. Like, fuck off. You're not creating a fucking masterpiece here. But it's been also another hallmark of a great film is where it's like they show some bullshit intro scene that no one cares about that they could have just saved the time and money with.
Yeah, it was
and then
weird...
they go 5 years since the first outbreak, and I'm like,
this is
cool.
Weird structure.
Disembodied fucking monologues are always great. It's always happens it's like a huge horror cliche too that would happen. It's like the end of this film they do that same thing. It's like, cool, disembodied fucking talkers. But yeah, they do have like this military complex, which I was actually kind of surprised because it actually didn't look horrible.
It was cool.
I was kind of shocked. I was like,
a cool little bunker.
Yeah.
Like
I'm assuming that's where all the money went.
Yeah.
Which, you know, there's worse things to spend your money on.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't come anywhere close to the location in Day of the Dead,
yeah.
but that's one of the coolest. I mean, we talked about it
Yeah.
in our episode, but that's one of the coolest.
But it's also like that
used.
was something that was actually there already. I'm pretty sure they built this for the fucking film because it looks so brand new.
They just found a big garage.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
But it looks like brand new, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so you're telling me 5 years have gone by and that it looks this clean? Like, bullshit. Going out for medicine for little girls. So we've got like this film is actually not based around. Really, it doesn't have the same like dread or like you know, you're screwed like in the Day of the Dead original. It's you know, there's so many military people still left, and even if they they lose a bunch of people in this film, there's still a shit ton of people left. Even if they didn't have a cure at the end, like they're still like in way better shape. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's never really any ever feeling that like things are bad in this film.
Yep, it's one of the things that made the original so cool and unique.
So
there's an actor in this movie called his name's Mark Rhino Smith. That's pretty cool.
Is that the black dude or whatever? Alphonse.
Cool name.
Yeah, that guy was cool.
Rhino.
Yeah, Alphonse was.
You think that's short for rhinoceros?
It's short for rhinoplasty. They have car trouble, of course they do in a horror film. It's funny, it's laughable because the engine just like smoke just explodes out of it for no reason.
They put a little smoke bomb in there.
It's like, oh no, the engine fucked up, and they're fucked, and then like right when the zombies show up and they're like, we're screwed, she's like, okay, I got it working, and it's like, This movie is just so stock.
It's yes. Both of these, to me, like, they brought nothing new to the table at all. It's just, which is disappointing. But, I mean, they weren't horribly made either.
I think the other one, at least, was, like, more funny. Like, I laughed
yes,
at
I agree.
it way more.
I agree. It was definitely more over the top.
Because it was so stupid. It was like...
Yeah.
Just checking to see.
This one, it took itself way too seriously.
Yeah, and it was also, like... Yeah, it was just... It sacrificed, like, a good movie, possibly a good movie, I don't know, by shoehorning in the whole, like, you know, Max wants to be all over, like, Zoe, and her quest is to come up with a vaccine thing, and then the side plot with, like, a little girl, and it was just, like...
Boring.
Yeah.
Also, both these movies have fast zombies, which
Yeah.
that was always a debate back in the day. Like, ooh,
Yeah.
fast versus slow. And I was always like, who cares?
Plane versus car.
Yeah. But in this one, they especially run like very silly. They're like Frankensteins
Yeah.
almost. They're like,
Dude, in 2008, it's not even. They're not even zombies. They're just like
They're like
people
demons.
doing like. They're like skaters and punks, like throwing their bodies into shit for no reason. I just have a note that says this is fucking stupid.
pretty much sums it up.
Bub chilling in the weeds. Yeah, that part where you talked about earlier with like they're playing ball and like they kick it into the trees or whatever, and like the dude is just like, "What's going on out here?" And I was like, "Why the fuck were there like why were they letting like kids play on super?" Because like as soon as that happens, they all like the siren hits and like they all just start walking in, even the adult that was watching them. And I was like, "You're not gonna do a head count before you
buddy
go in?"
system.
Yeah. I also was cracking. This is when I was cracking with the stealth stuff because Bub just runs inside with no issues. Like people aren't watching. It's like he's on a stealth mission going through the vents for like an dude. These scenes of him going through the vents is probably like 20 minutes.
Oh, dude,
It's fucking
it
ridiculous.
was rough.
Which is, what are the odds that both these fucking films have vent scenes too?
Cheap to film.
Jesus.
That was one of my notes of the first one.
Yeah.
Those are some well lit vents in that
Yeah.
movie, dude. Like it's bright in there.
Yeah.
Like how did they get so much light? At least these were like not ridiculously
Yeah.
overlit, but yeah, way too much vent.
I was
play.
cracking up when they put a net on Bub or Max.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so stupid. Like she's like, I need him alive, and they literally just find a random net sitting right there and throw it on him, and he's like, ah! Like as soon as they put the net on him, he's fucked.
There was a cool effect though on him because like they CGI'd his mouth to be a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
Which it worked. It was cool looking, I thought. Nice job.
what was I gonna say? Something about how this movie sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the foreplay with getting blood from Max was fucking gross. There was a weird scene though where they're like grabbing zombies like in Day of the Dead with neck lassos, but like, and of course they recreate like a botched operation, but in this it makes no sense because in the last one it was like their stuff was so worn down that like one of the zombies ripped free because of the lasso was like not maintained. In this, it's literally there's just two dudes holding the gate instead of relatching it.
They
each
just flub.
time.
It's a
Yeah,
total
well,
flub.
They're like, we can't hold it anymore, and I'm like, well, that makes sense, but why the fuck didn't you relatch the gate every time you grab the new zombie?
Yeah.
Like, no, we'll have time to just hold it. But yeah,
You found another flaw.
yeah. Bub chokeslams a lady and steals keys. Freaking yeah, they like anaconda his mouth on this, and it's like he's like, I'm fucking Joker over here. He starts talking. Who gives a shit? So of course they find out that his blood's the cure, but then like at one point like she just kills him, and I'm like, and then of course there's some ADR dialogue they add in. It's like, I had to use only a little to save my boyfriend because he got bit, and the rest to create the mass-produced like vaccine. Which I'm like, so you just needed like a little bit of the blood to create like a fucking massive vaccine for everyone? Like, this whole thing is fucking fucked, man.
My comment is, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to see. Of course, they have a scene where Rhodes gets his fucking guts eaten. Bub's a pervert. Yeah, this fucking sucks.
So neither of these movies like offended me until the ending of this movie. That like I was texting you about it. That end narration was a slap in the face to George Romero and everything he stood for. So
yeah, just the end of this film. Nothing. He was the rest of it. He was like, dude, this is fucking awesome. Also, this movie and the 2008 like ends are flipped for some reason. I was expecting 2008's to have the rocking random music at the end, but this film does, and the other one doesn't. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm going to go back to my notes about the 2008 one, because I want to talk about that one way more than I want to talk about the Bloodline one.
This is what I said.
This goes against my principle.
This goes against everything George was saying with Day of the Dead. The message is, you are screwed. The system is broken. Authority doesn't know what they're doing, and they're out to get you, and there's no hope. But this movie ends with, the world is beautiful, and there's still plenty to love. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Don't do that.
I mean, the original Day of the Dead did have, like, optimism at the end, but it wasn't.
But it was still, like, shrouded in darkness. Right. Like, yeah, they survived, but what's their future hold?
Right.
Like, you know, it's pretty bleak.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Day of the Dead is one of the darkest movies ever made.
It's the darkest day of horror the world has ever known. Until these two films came out.
George Romero was, like, such a nice, like, jolly guy, but he made angry movies.
Yeah.
And I think Day of the Dead's the angriest one.
It's kind of like George Lucas when he's gone through divorce. Yeah. So, yeah, the other one is from 2008. This movie... So I heard about this movie when it first came out, but I was kind of surprised because it has Ving Rhames in it, and he plays, like, the Captain Kick-Ass in Dawn of the Dead remake. But then he was back as Rhodes in this movie, and so I was always confused, like, what? Is this supposed to be a sequel? Like, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. And so I never watched it until I picked it for this week, and then randomly Mina... What's her name? Suvari is in this film, too. And, of course, Nick Cannon, back when he was acting.
Yeah, I remember when this came out, I was somewhat interested, and then I read about it, and I was like, I'm out. It was trashed upon release.
Well, it was just weird, because it was one of those things where it was just like, Dawn of the Dead, like, kind of came out, and regardless of what you think about it, it was pretty popular at the time and stuff, and, like, everybody was kind of like, holy crap, you know, like, you know, but of course, like, that one actually had, like, some people behind it that actually, like, wrote some stuff, whereas this is, like...
But that was surprising, because this is directed by Steve Miner, and, I mean, he's not a master by any means, but he's made some movies I like. He's made some, like, pretty solid horror movies.
Yeah, Halloween H2O would have a great one.
Well, I mean, compared to this... But he made Lake Placid, which I actually like a lot. That movie's cool.
Not bad. I remember seeing that in theaters.
It
was okay.
He's made some Friday the 13th and some Nightmare on Elm Street, some Halloweens.
I'll hold that against him. Steve Miner, he's looking up like...
But I mean, this was...
He's like, if I jump off the fucking Fifth Street Bridge, I'll be in hell.
This was grim, dude.
Well, this also, like, look
made.
at the fucking cover. That is so stock. It's like something you would see at Blockbuster back in the day. Like, oh, this movie might be good. It's like, no, this is a shot on shitty production. So,
but it did have Ving Rhames, and he was good in it.
For the 5 seconds he was in it.
He's barely in it, but...
Which is weird, because I thought he was going to be the main guy, but they, for some reason, kill off Captain Rhodes and, like, before half the movie's over.
I thought the acting in this movie was way worse than the other one. Like, I thought Mina Suvari and Nick Cannon were embarrassing themselves.
Nick Cannon was horrible.
Mina Suvari's been good.
I think she was okay.
It was yikes.
But it's like, I mean, it's horror film.
Yeah.
Like, Mina Suvari, like, was good for this. Nick Cannon was horrible for anything. It sucks because Ving Rhames was in this, but like you said, he's only in it for, like, I think his total screen time is maybe 10 minutes, if that. I guess we should what do we need to say about the fucking other one, like, as far as, like, grade?
I
didn't even think about it till now.
I'm gonna go 2.95.
Yeah. This fucking shit.
This movie had some things that, like, blew me away when zombies started crawling on ceilings. I was like,
yeah,
they disobey the laws of physics
for
some reason. Like, why did they do that? So stupid.
I don't understand what the fuck. I mean, I understand what was going on in this film because it was 2000s and these shitty horror movies were kind of like a dime a dozen with this kind of stuff. But
again, why call it Day of the Dead and then remake Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah.
Like, why?
That seems to be like a trend. I think Night of the Living Dead gets remade so often.
Yeah. I just don't get it. Plus, like, the beginning of the outbreak is so uninteresting to me. Yeah. Like, when we've seen it so many times.
Also, like, the red credits, it's like this and the other one used red credits. And, like, the original Day did as well, but like they used them. They had a bevel or whatever it was, and this it's literally just like crappy 70s red credits where it was like, dude, this is hurting my eyes to look at. And of course, 2 people dancing to Candlelight. One is 17, the other looks 30.
Not great. This is about kids again.
Yeah, people making out, dude sneezing fucking blood up. This ADR, I think when they went into like the or when they were like at the Ving Rhames had stopped everybody, someone goes, "What's going on? This sucks." I was like, okay, this is awesome. Ving Rhames on the scene as Rhodes, so he plays Captain Rhodes, but there's really only one scene where he...
In name only.
Yeah, name only. There's one scene where there's kind of a thing between Logan and him, because Dr. Logan's in this, but it's like, he's, you know, like, oh, you know, I don't like to talk to authority around, you know, whatever, like some bullshit, and then Ving Rhames is like, huh, bullshit, and he leaves. But it's like, 5 seconds later, he's like chopped up into fucking dog meat for no reason.
I'll give this movie credit. It does deliver on zombie action. There's definitely a lot of zombie action in this, and it's okay at times.
There's some weird stuff with like CG that
there's some bad CGI, and it's all shaky cam, which I can't stand that either.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins everything.
Sir, I understand. Unless you have kids, you don't fucking understand. I'm like, a zombie outbreak, it's fucking distracting.
Give me an answer.
Yeah. Lady gets in the woods, and this is like the first zombie kill, but like it sounds like she's being killed like a bear or like a fucking
dinosaur. There was like a monster sound.
Yeah, I was like, what? It was like Nick Cannon is here on the scene, best known for Drumline, so there you have that. Then we
I'd like to fire him out of a cannon.
My friends call me Bud. They didn't want to go. They didn't want to say Bub.
Yeah,
they say Bud.
Bud Crane,
played by
Stark Sands.
Yeah, I want to give this guy a shit ton of credit for being in this film.
Yeah, he was fine in it, which is high praise.
He was a fucking like revelation. I was shocked. I was like, when he becomes like Bub or whatever, it's like he fucking got it. He was so good, I thought, like as far as his expressions and stuff. Mm-hmm. Of course, this movie couldn't help themselves, and they fucking like, they have this stupid leader zombie that like decapitates him at one point, and I was like, this movie fucking sucks. Like, this is so stupid. But
Stark Sands,
it's just a cold. I took some vitamins. I'm like, what? Was this in another country filmed as well? Like, what? Who says that? I'm sick. I took some vitamins. But yeah, Stark Sands. He's he can
Tony nominated.
Yeah,
Broadway star. And I first noticed him in Inside Llewyn
Too
Davis.
good for this fucking film.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's sad to see him slumming it up.
I think the only 2 people I'd say that are definitely too good for this are him and Ving Rhames. Yeah. So we've got another horror thing going on here, trope, where it's like the corpses fall out of a closet. Somehow they were like
stacked,
haunted house style waiting.
Yeah.
Also, which like later on they talk about, like they're like, you know, what would kill and then like hide the bodies, and I'm like, you're telling me that fucking a zombie in this film hid these bodies? Like, fuck off. Like,
I didn't even think about that, but that's really stupid. This movie also does the terrible thing where like we go inside the cells. Yeah, the cells like fighting. Yeah. Like, if I never see that again in a movie, I'll be totally fine.
Yeah. Also, the mom was doing the O'Reilly Auto Parts theme. She was like, I'm bleeding. Auto Parts, wow.
Nice.
I was like, dude, what the fuck? Because she goes, ow, ow, ow. And I was like, dude, seriously? It's a cough-off acting competition in the hospital. Everyone there is like, they're like, okay, everybody gets $5 in bologna sandwich, action. And everyone's like, I also thought it was funny because there was a part where like a dude runs into a nurse, he drops stuff, and a doctor's standing right next to him, and he just looks over and doesn't even do anything to help her. And I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? Also more like dialogue that makes no sense, because it's like the mom is like hanging out with this Bub character, Bud or whatever, and she's like, I guess that she's like, hey, what do you think about my, how's your daughter? She's seen anybody, like talking about Mina, whatever, and she says she's hot, right? And he goes, yeah, so hot. And I'm like, dude, this is dialogue that only exists in the 2000s. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, who wrote this shit? Also, at one point I thought they said maybe it's the alien flu. Because the dialogue after it makes no sense. Because it says maybe it's the avian flu. And she says, that's not possible. And I said, why not? Like, why is that the thing that you're like, that's not fucking possible? Avian flu. That's why I thought they said maybe it's the alien flu.
Yeah. I remember hearing that and being like, what?
Why would you be shocked that it's avian flu? Also, here's the first appearance, for me at least, of like really weird CG where they turn this dude into a zombie instantly. And it's like when the dad turns into a zombie, it's like horrible. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's like you said, it's like shaky. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
I was cracking up though. There's a part where these zombies run towards a lady, like their coworker, and tackle her into an electric fence. I was cracking up. I was like,
some decent action in this.
Yeah,
like that's the highest praise I can give.
Yeah,
it's decent at best.
Also, this zombie just must be like a hiding zombie. Like he likes to play tricks or something. Because I was cracking up. Doctor said 2 bodies. Now there's 3. And one of the zombies gets up and was like actively fucking playing possum. Like, what?
It's like the dude in Dawn of the Dead who's like posing as a mannequin.
Yeah.
And then
It's like
that always cracked me up.
Haunted house over here. Army guy goes down alley. And they just grab him and take him away. He's like, they take him out of the film.
Yeah. He's like,
I was cracking up. Freaking, like, maybe you shouldn't go down that alley. And he's like, I'm fine. And then they just grab him and they're like, da-da-da-da-da, and take him off. Bing Rames says the hell. Then he also gets taken out of the film. He gets carried off.
Yeah, well, he does return for one of the funnier things in this movie. That was great.
For some reason, they like take his legs off. Lots of stupid.
He eats his own eyeball.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god.
I didn't see that coming. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, he eats his own eye for some reason. I was cracking up. I was like, what? And then he's like in the vents, like freaking X or whatever, gonna give it to you. He's like, oh, like barking. And I was like, what is going on in this film right now? I like how some of the funniest stuff to happen in either one of these films happened in a fucking vent.
There's so much vent play.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget everything about this movie, but I won't forget Rames eating his own eyeball.
Dude, there was so much stupid, sharp cut editing in this fucking film.
It's bad.
And it wasn't even like shaky. It's like different from shaky cam. It's like the stuff that happened a lot in 2000s, like
quick
horror
cutting
films and stuff.
I always hate it.
Where it's like, it's like, come on, this sucked when it first came out. It was never good. Like, keep laughing, bitch. Says Nick Cannon. I'm like, yep, this is 2008.
Yep.
Like, okay. Logan says, I'm a doctor. Nick Cannon says, I'm hearing that CSI bullshit. And I was like, what? And I was like, as a wise man once said, water, fire, air, and dirt, fucking magnets, how do they work?
Nice.
And I don't want to talk to a scientist. Y'all motherfuckers lying and getting me pissed.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, when I saw that by Nick Cannon, I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Long neck giraffe.
They're like... So, speaking of going all out with the zombies and stuff, like, they're like moshing and doing all this ridiculous stuff, and I'm like, how many of these people that were in this film got like majorly injured that were the zombies? But like, there's a part here where like they're escaping, and the zombies jump out of a second-story fucking window.
That was cool.
Yeah, I was like,
that was the one really cool thing in this movie.
I was like, what?
You get multiple stuntmen jumping out of windows in one shot, and it was like really cool.
I was shocked. It was
almost like some Jackie Chan level stuff.
Right, I was
going
like,
on.
what the fuck?
That was really cool. That's the one thing I'll can't deny.
And then Logan drives off. Dr. Logan. He's like Rhodes essentially in this because he like is like, fuck you guys, and he like drives off, and they're like, Logan, you son of a bitch. This is I think our first occurrence of CG like Fire Fest in this, where they burn up, and it's like, Jesus,
Yeah.
so bad.
CGI fire has never looked good, and still continues to not look good to this day.
I've seen okay, but this is the bottom of the barrel. Because they also pair it with like CG zombies, and it's like, ugh, what the fuck. I thought the one dude that turns into Bub, once he starts to kind of like look really sickly, kind of looks like Jesse Eisenberg a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
So there's some weird like cutting around here, and they're like Mina Saray's like brother and like his girlfriend are like essentially like telling Hagrid or whatever, and fucking the other two, like the mom and dad or whatever, like, you know, you one of you guys has a nosebleed, you know, if you're dying, tell us and stuff. They cut away, you know, some stuff happens. They cut back, and the first thing that happens is she says, "Fucking tell us," and it's like the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen in a film. The way that was said, and then he just instantly turns into a zombie, like the Hagrid guy, and I was like, oh my god. I just have a note here that says this Nick Cannon character is fucking annoying.
Yep.
And so stock.
Totally. It's not good.
Yeah. And then like Bud becomes Bub or whatever in the Jeep, and yeah, it's good stuff when he's doing his thing. He's like reacting to everything, and he's like, you know, he doesn't like Nick Cannon because Nick Cannon treats him like shit and stuff. I have a note that says, Guy is emoting for no reason on the mic, runs to the window, sees a figure in an alley, and from that far away instantly knows it's his mom. Runs over mom. That was funny. Nick Cannon is treating Bud like shit. Dark as shit in the woods. Bud, the best character and actor, left to die weak. Yeah, he gets, like, they just leave him to die, but then he shows up later just to get his head ripped off. Then they go into this random Resident Evil underground lab area.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now I know we're in the final stretch of this film, because we're in, like, this is the same...
The lab level.
Yeah, the stuff they do a lot. It's like, okay. Logan comes out from behind a filing cabinet. He's like, Murr! I was like... So you walk into this room, and there's a fucking dude hiding behind a cabinet, and you didn't see him till just now. It was like you were saying earlier in the other one, where the guy's like, hey, what are you doing out here?
Pretty bad.
This part cracked me up because it's like logistically I didn't understand it, but it also was just so funny I didn't really care. But like, this guy's giving like this like thing, like, you know, I'm slowly, you know, like, we did this stuff, and I think I killed everyone else, but I think I'm gonna be turning into a zombie soon or whatever, like the scientist. And he turns into a zombie, and then as soon as he becomes a zombie, he like attacks the fucking camera he was like fucking giving the monologue to. And I was like, what? Like, the camera is the audience. Also, the lab zombie later on when they find him is like Abbott Hayes, and he's like dodging bullets. Like, did you?
Abbott Hayes? No.
I was cracking up. I was like,
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's it.
Nick Cannon says his favorite lines: "Hello, bitch." Someone says, "Hey, what happened to fuckface?" Nick Cannon gets eaten alive by zombies, and it's like the greatest thing that ever happened.
Like, finally.
Yeah. Bub gets his head pulled off by the lab zombie. Zombies get CG fired again. On radio, it looks like the danger is over. And then, of course, this is the other way that they would like end a horror movie back in the day. A stock zombie jumps into frame to scare the audience, and
it's like,
I don't think anybody fucking, except for that didn't happen in this film, which was shocking.
Yeah.
It was like they ticked every box, and then like when they went to the editing, they forgot to put that part in.
They forgot to put the new metal in the end credits. What?
But like, yeah, he jumps up into frame, and then it's like, it scares nobody. Like, I was like, yeah, okay, like, like, we're good. And I'm like, okay, drives off. Yeah. It's like, what?
Movie ended with the whimper.
Yeah.
Like a wet noodle.
Pretty much how every one of these horror movies ended in the 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two fucking sour fiddles.
At least this one, I was
I got
very slightly
entertainment
more
out of
entertained
this
by it.
because I was
Yeah.
laughing and
The other ones were
I had
more
fun
mature.
writing the notes because it was so stupid and there was like so many things I wrote down that I was just like, I like the logic. The other one, I didn't give a fuck about the logic because the movie was so shit.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, it was like I wanted to write down the logic things because it was so stupid and funny that like.
It's verging on so bad it's good.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it wasn't quite bad enough to be
Right,
that, so.
yeah. There are parts of it that are so bad that it's good, but like as a whole, it doesn't add up to be like a
Troll 2 or
or something like that. Yeah.
Well,
2.
I'm gonna go 3.95, one step above.
This is like a 4 or 5 for me. It's way better than fucking that last film. That last film, I probably should make it like a 1. It's fucking horrible.
It had that cool bunker though.
Fuck the bunker.
There you have it.
That's what I should just put on my tombstone. Fuck the bunker. And then people
Put that on the poster.
Fuck the bunker from Goldeneye. But yeah,
All right.
yeah, it's just a front. This one is just like the only reason why I think somebody could get upset about it is because it's called Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
But it's like at the end of the day, who gives a shit? The other movie, like Bloodline, is like just an affront to everything because it's called Day of the Dead, but it like takes everything about that and makes it infinitely worse and spits on like the idea of the fucking films.
Yep. They were fun to talk about.
Yeah. Definitely a lot more fun to talk, I think, about the 2008 one. That's why I wanted to keep that one for last because it's so stupid. It's like, why? Like, bitch, Nick Cannon whenever he couldn't remember his lines, bitch. I'm like, I wonder why the only other film he's known for is Drumline. Not that he's known for this film, but it's like stay in your lane.
All right. Well, we did it.
Yep. Jesus Christ. We made it through this week. We shuffled through.
We survived the longest night of horror.
So, we will see you guys in 2 weeks. We're taking a week off. But, do you have anything lined up for that week when we come back?
I'm going to celebrate the start of football season by picking a football movie. Semi-Tough with Burt Reynolds and Chris Christopherson. Christmas Goose.
You should have picked both of, what are those ones film that Burt Reynolds and...
The Longest Yard?
Yeah, done both of them.
I've actually never seen the Adam Sandler one. I need to see that.
I've never seen the original.
That's good. So Semi-Tough and...
Semi-tough.
I wanted to make it Burt Week.
This is semi-tough.
So I wanted to pick a show that was my grandma's favorite, Evening Shade. You remember that show?
Oh.
It was made for grandmas. It was the Burt Reynolds show from the early 90s.
It's like Moonlighting or whatever.
Yeah. It might be okay.
I think the only Burt Reynolds film I really remember us ever watching was Deliverance.
Yeah. The best.
He's done a bunch of other films, but...
So, it's going to be Burt Week.
Burt Week.
More Burt.
What about Ernie? When are we going to do an Ernie week, Matt?
Ernie Hudson. Do Congo.
Burt and Ernie, are they in a film together?
It's possible.
We should find out.
Have to do
we
the
could do
research.
Burt and Ernie week, and then like the thing we watch is like the first episode of Sesame Street for the TV show.
And Deliverance.
Yeah.
Like perfect pairing.
I'd rather never watch that movie again.
It's a rough one.
But yeah, so thanks for sticking with us and living through my rage as I took it out on Matt for no reason. My friend and buddy. My real close friend and buddy. Matt Henning. But yeah.
Until next time.
Enjoy watching movies.
Bye.
Mike, you picked the Day of the Dead remakes. Now that wasn't very nice, was it? That wasn't very nice at all. I want you to sit here and think about what you've done.
Life begins, then it ends. Turn the page to start again. Who am I? Just one man caught up in the master plan. There's nothing left to chance, our future's in your hands. The choice is up to you. Who will decide if it's worthy of starting anew? Only you. If tomorrow comes, be my guide. You hold the key to our hearts, and our hearts